of voters out there to what's going on with the reconciliation bill and the infrastructure bill. Like how much attention is being paid by voters, and to the extent that they pay attention to it, like how first order is it? Are they out there going like, what's happening with the Medicare expansion? Or are they just getting this message that two senators are rolling the entire Democratic Party?
I'm not even sure if they get that message. It doesn't come up much unless candidates bring it up, and they bring it up at Terry McAuliffe in Virginia is a good example. Phil Murphy said the same thing in New Jersey. They bring it up saying, look, we know what we want to do if we get this, if this money goes out. We know how you do pre-K, our states can alleviate some of our budget pressure. Just do it already. But when it comes to voters, I don't hear much talk about it. I think it is just the flattening of, if things are happening, and this is the problem with any legislative fight about anything. If that thing in DC is happening slowly and people aren't all agreeing on it, there must be something bad about it. Now, I'm one of the people who says, like, you get unanimous votes really quickly on things like Havana syndrome relief. I mean, anything worth doing is going for either party is going to be complicated, but people are just tuning out. It's not like the health care bill 12 years ago where people know there's a part of my life that will be affected if this passes. I don't think it's that clear yet. And Democrats haven't tried to, they've sold some stuff that will be part of some people's lives, but not touching everybody's lives the way healthcare did. And frankly, the way that Republicans campaigned against the ACA was, well, if this bill's complicated, they won't tell you what's in it. We're going to tell you some stuff that's going to do that may or not be real. That's not even really happening with this. Republicans aren't even really attacking the bill. It's just in the air.
Have you noticed that, like, the marketing of Build Back Better? What policy pieces are resonating with people? Because, like, you've seen polling on the individual components of what's in it, the child tax credit, the universal pre-K, whatever the case may be. Individually, they poll great, but the fact that it's in this large package, I'd imagine, dilutes it to a degree the way people are seeing it being negotiated.
Yeah, but I don't even think they're paying super close attention now. I just think when I talk to voters, it doesn't come up naturally, and the worries they have are, there's some about childcare, but it's really, if you're a plugged-in liberal voter, you're annoyed with Sinema and Manchin. If you're just kind of vaguely paying attention, you really are paying more attention to COVID, and it's not like prices are up or shelves are empty and I hate Joe Biden now, but hey, is he going to do anything to fix that? You hear that more. If they were passing the supply chains are gone for some magically bill of 2021, I feel like people would be or not gone, fixed. People would be paying a lot more attention to that. But no, and Democrats complain about this, but it matches my experience that because the coverage is there's this bill and it's really expensive, that's all they hear. That's all that it gets manifested. When they go to their districts, they're touting, here's what we did already with the rescue plan. Here's what would come here if we get this extra money. But it's kind of amorphous for people. And I was trying to say before, the plus side is that Republicans aren't really making anything stick on it either. It's not like previous legislative fights where they're out there messaging every day. They're just distracted by other stuff, or they're kind of pinpointing parts of the bill that they think sell well because they don't think attacking the whole bill as on its own. Even the reconciliation package of $3.5 trillion, everything in it, that was popular, and they never really found a way to attack it. So in one way, if Democrats get it over the line, the fact that people are not paying a ton of attention right now is probably helping them.
Well, I mean, I think it actually is because there has been a lack of Republican demonization of the bill.
Yeah.
That there isn't that the bill remains popular, at least in the context of what's in it. But there is it shows the vacuum that it was created by the Democrats not coming out and seizing. It's like, I hate to use a football analogy here, but it's like the Republicans are on their 30-yard line, but the Democrats decide to line up on their 30-yard line instead of walking up where the ball is and taking advantage of and going on offense. They haven't done any of that. We saw Biden go out and try and do it last night, I guess, on CNN. It seems a little late to do that. And so what are the voters that you talk to talking about? Is it COVID and just the idea of maybe inflation, or
more than anything anything that's being discussed in Washington this second? definitely. And it really is just people spend a year, maybe more for some people, maybe a little bit less for some, a year not interacting with society at the same level. And so there's just a constellation of stuff that's different and stuff that's weirder. And I think Democrats, when they've gotten people to pay attention to their bill, it's been, well, there's a child care component that would be very helpful for specifically the problem that a lot of people are having right now. But until there is a child care proponent, part of the bill, a component of the bill that gets passed and that we can discuss, that's not really part of the conversation either. And for Republican voters, they're not really paying attention to much of this. Now, it's just automatic. If there's a problem, it's because Biden's president. He shouldn't be. But the discussion with them really is just about just the voters I talked to in Virginia last week. It's the schools are out of control. Why are they teaching kids race? It's kind of, it is, I don't want to be patronizing, but it does feel like, both bases can be somewhat programmed by the media. I feel that, but it happens faster on the right. I mean, I just, the work Fox News put into making the activist story of the year, the thing to care about, the schools, that's more what I hear from Republicans, and they're not paying attention. It's just, now, the thing about politics now is they're kind of written out of the conversation because even Democrats I talk to say, well, we assume that every Trump voter is going to vote against us. That's fine. It's about getting those other people. So they kind of ignore, and I think this has played out in some races. They just think they're going to talk about something else. We're going to ignore it. Sometimes it works. I think it hasn't been in the last couple of weeks, but nothing else that the government is doing right now is filling in the gap as a fun thing people like talking about.
What do you attribute the precipitous fall of Joe Biden's popularity numbers, favorability numbers to? Is it just that people are frustrated with COVID and they're like, he's president, so?
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of that, and that's always a little bit cheap, right? Because there are Republican governors, officials going out of their way to make sure that people don't get a vaccine, and then saying, "Hey, how come this vaccine rate's low? I thought Biden was going to fix that." Right. That I think you can write off. I think it's more just there are little irritations in life, and beyond voters, man, I have just friends I know I grew up with who are not journalists, who have pretty normal lives, and some are conservatives and some are moderate Democrats, and that's their thing. It's just that there's an angst like, I thought things would snap back and I had everything I used to, and now I have a version of those things, but some of it's more complicated, some of it's more expensive, some of it's taking longer to get here, and some of this is not really a thing that a party can message. I mean, if you live in a capitalist society and people can't get stuff as fast, well, if the entire system, the entire economic system, the entire, happiness delivery system of the country is you can get stuff whenever you want. You can fill your man cave. You can make, not even have to think about feeding your family. But then that's going to be an issue. I think some of it too, and everything ends up being a media conversation. But it's a little bit overdetermined. I mean, I'll read like an article about the shelves being completely empty, and I'll notice, oh yeah, there was that day when I went to the store at 9, and then the next day I came and it was full. Like things are a little bit bad, but not totally off kilter. And yet that is the perception. I think that's real. That a thing that never used to happen being a little bit worse. That people notice that, and if a one party, one network is saying it's all about to collapse. The fact that shelf is empty means we're already on the road to being Cuba, Venezuela, take your pick. That's pretty powerful. I don't think Democrats have like a great answer for that. They just need that to be fixed somehow. And I that's just not part of the conversation in Congress. Congress could pass a bill that says build 3 times as many ports in Long Beach. They wouldn't be done tomorrow.
And I'm not sure that would actually make a difference because you don't have the truck drivers to take them off. My understanding is that there's a ton of stuff sitting in that port. It's the problem of the truck drivers to take it